The Comrades Marathon has seen a South African winner in both the men's and the women's race, with Bongomusa Mthembu in winning the men's and Anne Ashworth winning the ladies' event. A Cape Town lady is recovering in hospital after an arson attack on a metro rail train. This is eNews at 7 p.m. I'm Tony Ndoro. Good to have you with us. Now, South Africans dominated the 2018 Comrades Marathon, with Bongomusa Mthembu winning for the second year in a row, while Anne Ashworth stunned a stellar women's field to claim her maiden title.
Bongomusa Mthembu timed his run to perfection. He took control of the race on the way up to Kawi's Hill, but had to fend off 2016 winner David Khatebe before opening up a convincing lead. He headed down to the coast in a comfortable stride, eventually claiming his third title, 9 minutes ahead of second place Joseph Mputi, who completed a South African 1-2. It was the first time a South African man won back-to-back titles since Bruce Fordyce in 1988.
It's such an emotional race today. I mean, I went through a lot this season, but with the grace of God, I was able to run today. So I'm quite very happy. I'm quite excited. But yeah, man, this is very emotional ever.
Under the guidance of renowned coach John Hamlet, Anne Ashworth caused a major upset to win the women's race. Her consistent pace and energy proved too much for fellow South African Gerda Steyn, who finished as runner-up after winning the Two Oceans earlier this year.
My coach set me what I thought was quite an aggressive plan, and I thought, oh my word, I'm not sure I can stick to that. But, you know, the Ks just ticked by, and quite soon I could see the top 5 ladies, and I just kind of hung around there, and after halfway just held the pace, and suddenly I was in the lead, and I was like, what's happening? But yeah, just great run.
It proved to be a remarkable day for South African athletes who dominated the podium thanks to some gutsy performances. While the elite athletes grabbed all the media attention, special mention must be made to the thousands of amateur runners who conquered the 90-kilometer route of the ultimate human race. Myron Naika in Durban.
Well, I'm joined on the line now by my colleague Thulas Simelane, who he was also running in the Comrades Marathon. And now, Thulas, this was your first Comrades Marathon. Give us your experience. How did you fare at the end?
Tony, I'm tired. And to say I'm tired is an understatement. I can barely walk, but it was all worth it. I mean, in the end, to just see the kind of torture that people put themselves through to achieve a goal that they've set for themselves. And the field is really large. So on any stretch of road that is really straight, especially when it's got a bit of a dip and then it comes up sort of a steep, you sort of see a sea of people, and many of them are wearing these white Comrades Marathon T-shirts. So you know that even if you're suffering, that you are not suffering alone. You are not alone. There's 21,000 people out there suffering with you who want it just as bad. What it is, after all, the ultimate human race. I had aimed for a sub-11 finish. I wanted to finish under 11 hours. I found myself a nice partner, a guy called Sento, and that I was running with from Vanderbale Park. And he was really timing me and pacing me until he had an unfortunate incident along the way where he tripped and sort of triggered some cramps. And that really put a spanner in the works, and we lost a lot of time after Drummond. And we battled through until he released me, and he said, look, if you don't go, we both are not going to make our time. And I'm really grateful for that. And in the end, I ended up doing it in 11 hours. I think it's 45 minutes. I've not really checked, Tony, because I'm too tired to even check.
That's fantastic. It's absolutely amazing. Listen, better you than me, Thulas. Better you than me. Let's also go on. We've got on the line Deborah Gray, who was also running the Comrades. It was her first time finishing. It was a second race, but her first time finishing. Deborah, thanks for joining us. You must be elated after crossing that finish line.
I am. It's finally, it was a lot of training, and I'm just happy it's finally being achieved.
Did you get to a point where, you needed, you were running with your husband. Was there a point where you reached that barrier? That they always talk about that point, that pain barrier that you have to cross.
Yes, that pain barrier hit at about 60 K. Mm-hmm. But I had my husband who was pretty strict. and made me push through the pain. But then, you know, you go through waves throughout the Comrades. You feel terrible, and then suddenly you feel good. And then suddenly you've got 10 Ks left to go, and then it's standing in the sun.
But well done. Are you going to do this again next year? You want to be running again?
It's debatable.
All right.
I won't be running with my husband again, certainly not. He studies dog, and he does get his dance at 10 minutes.
All right, Deborah, well done. It's absolutely, you know, I'm proud of you. You did an amazing job. All right, fantastic stuff. All right, Deborah Gray, she also finished the Comrades Marathon, which was, of course, run a little bit earlier on in Durban, from Pietermaritzburg to Durban. Let's move on now. The Public Servants Association will be meeting with Social Development Minister Susan Shabangu tomorrow to discuss the possibility of wage negotiations for SASSA. Social Security Agency employees have vowed to down tools tomorrow following the alleged refusal by SASSA to enter into a negotiation process with the association on the basis that the agency says it falls under public service wages. In the meeting, PSA will clarify that SASSA is independent of the Public Service Coordinating Bargaining Council and requires its own wage increase negotiations for employees. A majority of trade unions representing around 100,000 workers have agreed to government's offer of a 7% wage hike. The association says the strike by SASSA employees won't disrupt grant payments but may affect new negotiations. Minister of Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs, Zweli Mkhize, has denied involvement in an alleged 4.5 million rand kickback. The Sunday Times reports that a law firm has named the former ANC Treasurer General in a claim against a company called Africoil. The firm says Mkhize agreed at a meeting in June 2016 to promote Africoil's projects and facilitate a PIC loan. The meeting came after the government pension fund manager rejected Africoil's loan application. The loan was for 210 million rand. Mkhize says the report is a fabrication and he's seeking legal advice. A Cape Town family is planning to sue the authorities following a fatal arson attack on a Metro Rail train almost 2 weeks ago. Lee Jansen is recovering from severe injuries after she narrowly escaped death. Another commuter died in the blaze. Cape Town police are yet to make any arrests. Leanne Jansen has the story. Please note the story contains some graphic images.
Remnants of a violent attack. Lee Jansen is recovering in Cape Town's Tygerberg Hospital after suffering third-degree burns to the top of her body. At the time of admission, she had only 25% lung capacity. Her mum is visibly traumatized and angry.
There is no excuse for this. You know, this is just pure barbaric acts of cowardice. I don't know. I don't know where it is all going to end.
A fellow commuter was burnt beyond recognition.
I said to somebody at the hospital, if Lee was the person that had died, it would have been, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It would have been too, I don't know, I can't imagine what it is like.
She's a trauma counsellor but says it's harder when it's personal.
Every time I think that I've seen it all, working with so many different cases, but nothing prepares you for this.
In anticipation of this broadcast, Jansen sent a message of thanks.
Oh, thank you, everybody. The prayers, the thoughts, and for loving me. I love you guys.
Schenker has slammed the police and Metro Rail for their alleged inaction.
The detective told me that they will speak to Lee once she can speak to them, but Metro Rail has not come to the party. They didn't make contact with me at all. So what does it tell you? She wasn't on the inquest report. There's nothing that says that something had happened. There was another person.
Metro Rail, meanwhile, says it's doing all it can to safeguard its trains. The rail service says it's rallying national and provincial law enforcement agencies to scale up security. Leanne Jansen, Cape Town.
More news after the break. We'll take a closer look at South African gun laws, where over 2.5 million people in South Africa are licensed to own guns, but about 400,000 of them have expired licenses and are therefore in possession of unlawful firearms. South Africa's legislation on fighting corruption is clear. Any person who fails to report corruption they are aware of is guilty of an offence themselves. Embattled former President Jacob Zuma on Friday threatened his detractors that he'll spill the beans on those who provoke him. Reporter Michael Apple has more.
There was music. There was dancing. And of course, in what's become characteristic Zuma style of late, a few warning shots were fired.
Kukhona abantu abathi uZuma corrupt abakaze bangitshena ukuthi yini lengiyenzile. Abanye babo ngiyabazi ba corrupt. Njengoba besho njalo nje. Ngizose ngikhuluma izinto zabo.
Laugh it off as classic Jacob Zuma, but the statement, and it's not for the first time, begs the question whether the former president has knowingly been concealing corruption. Keeping secrets, it can be a politically astute maneuver. In a context, though, where keeping those secrets hides corruption or criminality, it's a crime in itself. The Democratic Alliance says if you have the information, come on out with it.
If you knowingly know about acts of corruption, you have an obligation to report them. So we challenge the president to say he must come out with this information, and the institutions of government must then insist to do so, to compel him to produce this information.
Meanwhile, Hawk spokesperson Hangwani Mulaudzi says no case has ever been filed to investigate the former president's comments. He's encouraging Zuma to come forward if indeed he has any such information. Michael Apple, Johannesburg.
Turning to the issue of gun ownership now, over 2.5 million people in South Africa are licensed to own guns, but about 400,000 of them have expired licenses and are therefore in possession of unlawful firearms. The Constitutional Court has upheld legislation that requires people to reapply 90 days before the expiry date.
In a country where it's estimated that between 35% and 40% of murders are committed with a gun, the unanimous decision by the Constitutional Court to set aside a High Court ruling on gun licensing has been welcomed.
It's really a very significant judgment. I guess for one reason in particular is it affirms that South Africa has really a world-class gold standard gun law, which meets all of the global norms, and that firearms license renewal is a cornerstone of that, because what it is, it's a mechanism which allows the state to determine, do you remain fit and proper to own? And that's the state's responsibility in terms of its protection and its duty to protect all of us who live in this country.
The South African Hunting and Game Conservation Association wanted the law amended, as they say some of the provisions are vague. Last year, the Constitutional Court in Pretoria ruled in the association's favor, saying 2 sections of the Firearms Control Act were unconstitutional. The police minister is vowing to fight violent crime. Cabinet has approved a firearm amnesty, but people have limited time to bring in illegal guns.
We urge communities to voluntarily surrender their legal and illegal firearms and will provide amnesty for possession of illegal firearms. We are making call for action to the community to make sure of this opportunity, since we are going to have no mercy when we deal with any unlawful possession of firearms thereafter.
The ruling comes in the wake of a Johannesburg father who shot and killed his son on school premises. Sbusiso Shabalala appeared in court in connection with his son's death. He says he mistakenly shot him, thinking he was a hijacker. He was released on a warning.
U.S. President Donald Trump has arrived in Singapore for Tuesday's summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The summit is aimed at laying the groundwork for a nuclear deal with North Korea. Trump's arrival comes just hours after Kim landed in the city. The two will be meeting at the resort island of Sentosa on Tuesday. As a recap of your main stories this evening, the Comrades Marathon has seen a South African winner in both the men's and women's race, with Bongomusa Mthembu, the men's winner, and Anne Ashworth, the ladies' winner. A Cape Town lady is recovering in hospital after an arson attack on a metro rail train.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Weather Centre. The cold front that has been sweeping across southern South Africa throughout Sunday will be affecting much of KwaZulu-Natal as we get through Monday, giving us light rain and drizzle along the coastal areas and that just an interior in the morning. We are also going to see quite a bit of fog in the morning for the Southern Cape areas and quite some cloud across the Eastern Highveld areas. But the cloud and the fog should go away as we head towards the afternoon hours, leaving us with sunny weather across much of the country, warmer over the western areas on Monday, but it will be slightly cooler for the northeastern sections. Then in the afternoon, we will stay with rain and drizzle over eastern KwaZulu-Natal, maybe spreading into the southeastern areas of Mpumalanga as we head towards the late evening hours. Now we are expecting mostly sunny skies on Monday across much of the Northern Cape, with warmer daytime temperatures. Upington warming to around 26 degrees, a rather hot 31 for the high in Alexander Bay. Clear skies are forecast for the Western Cape, where most areas are going to see top temperatures in the upper teens and lower 20s. Rather warm for Vredendal, making it to 27 degrees. Mostly sunny skies are forecast across much of the Eastern Cape. It's going to be mild here with top temperatures in the upper teens and lower 20s in most areas. Light rain can be expected for the KZN coastal areas and over the eastern sections, and much of the province should see highs in the lower 20s on Monday afternoon. It's going to be partly cloudy for the eastern areas of Mpumalanga, mostly sunny and cool to mild for the high-veld areas. A bit of cloud can also be expected for the eastern areas of Limpopo. Polokwane should be mostly sunny, warming to 20 degrees on Monday afternoon. Clear skies are going to persist across the northwest, Zeerust and Rustenburg, both peaking at around 23 degrees. We are going to see a bit of cloud around Bethlehem and Harrismith with highs around 17 degrees. Gauteng could start off with quite a bit of cloud in the morning, becoming mostly sunny in the afternoon. Johannesburg with a high of around 19. Here's looking ahead to your Tuesday. We are going to see mostly sunny skies across much of South Africa with partly cloudy skies for the northeastern sections. We stay with sunny weather in most areas as we go through Wednesday.
He's the man behind the hit song Akana Mali. He is Sun L musician. The music producer cleaned out at the Summer Awards last weekend, receiving 3 trophies for that song. Lindy Wesitola caught up with him to find out how life has been after the win and what inspired this award-winning track.
That whole weekend, you picked up 3 awards. Tell me how that felt, just looking back at your journey to where you are right now.
Wow, that, especially when they were calling out my name, it was the most strangest thing ever. It's one of those moments where you just realize what you've been working on, the path and the team. Right.
Now you work with Something Soweto.
Something Soweto, yeah.
Yes, you meet Something Soweto. Tell me about that collaboration. How did you guys meet? How did you guys end up working together?
Sam played some of his music, we laptop, do, and then I was like, wait, hold on, this sounds like The Soil. He was like, no, I was part of The Soil. He told me a story. I was like, oh, cool. And then he listened to my music. I was like, dude, we have to work. So that's how we met, and then we hit the studio 2016. Yeah.
And it's so amazing that you recorded this hit song and the rest of your album in your bedroom.
It's crazy.
I don't think a lot of people know that.
And it's such a weird story because that's how I actually finished the whole album. It was just a bed and a little setup. because of the experience of working with Boost and traveling all over the world, because she took me everywhere. So I got to listen to how my sounds are different from different countries to different places. So I kind of combined the experience, and then I didn't really need a big studio because I already knew how to operate the software and how to manipulate this and that.
The Comrades Marathon has seen a South African winner in both the men's and women's races, with Bongmusa Mthembu, the men's winner, and Anne Ashworth winning the ladies' event. That's it from myself and the team. Have a fantastic Sunday evening.